every single person is capable of their wildest dreams if they got the fuck out of their own way. And this has just been on my mind because it keeps coming up in conversations. And I actually had this huge breakthrough where it came through in my own life. And I want to prove to you how you're in your own fucking way and a really simple way to get the fuck out of your way. Like, mind blown, holy shit, that was easy. So basically, I've had a YouTube channel, I think, for 4 years. And like, it's always been kind of like a passion project. I love making these videos where I had this job where I had, like a lot of time off, like months at a time. And so it just gave me something really productive and fun to do. But then, when the channel started picking up steam, I kicked the idea around a lot of like, what if I turn this into something like a job, this was really my path. But I had self-limiting beliefs, okay? And the first layer of self-limiting belief I've come to realize is logical. So my self-limiting beliefs were like, how would this work? How am I going to make as much money as I was making before? I don't know anyone who's ever made that much money online. I don't know how to make money online. I've got these logical self-limiting beliefs, right? Well, then something happened where I just got so inspired, like something was like bursting out of me, like a nut from my brain. And I was like, no, I want to do this, dude. Like, I really want to try. So I actually quit my job, and then I really tried to go all in on YouTube. And but in the back of my mind, I knew that like my old job would take me anytime. They're already offering me like pay or whatever, and I could do all sorts of different related jobs. And then the first beliefs of like, well, I don't know how to do this, that kind of went away because when I quit my job, I found a coach. I was like, okay, I'm going to get a YouTube coach. Like, we're going to make a roadmap, whatever. But there was still a ton of like friction. So I realized one layer below that is, so there's a logical self-limiting beliefs, then there's emotional self-limiting beliefs. And so the next layer of self-limiting beliefs is emotional, right? And the next things that came up were, well, what if I'm not good enough? What if my opinion is not worth paying for? Like, I just don't know if I'm good enough to do this, to be a creator. Maybe I'm too niche, shit like that. But it really all circled around this whole idea of like, I'm not good enough. My content's not good enough. So I really tried to like dig into that because it's like, shit, dude, we better get good enough. But I was always like fighting myself. So I was 50% out the door, 50% in the door. Like, even though I quit my job, I'm really trying to do this thing. But I found myself battling myself every fucking day. I was like, should I be doing this? Should I go back to my job? Like, I don't know. And I realized when you're 50% out the door and 50% forward, you're actually going nowhere. It's way better for you to just fully quit or fully go in. So eventually, after this long conversation with my girlfriend, she was like, you should either just do it or not. Like, she probably got sick of me going through this back and forth. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to do it. And so I made this goal board, 100 days, and I put 100 squares. And I told myself, for the next 100 days, I'm not allowed to second guess myself. And to hold myself to that standard, I told my girlfriend, if you ever hear me speak out loud, me second guessing myself, I have to give a homeless guy $200. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be like homeless. It's not going to ruin my whole life doing that. But, dude, that'll sting, right? And obviously, it will make his fucking day. But it was just enough to, like, not let me slip up. And on the first day, it was tough. I was like, like dancing around my words. And, okay, I got to make sure I don't second guess. But I was having a lot of these thoughts in my head. And then something happened, dude. I crossed off the first day. And on the second day, I just stopped having these thoughts. And actually, my brain started like finding the path. And dude, you hear about this all the time, like burn the boats. And Lao Tzu has this quote, like when an army's like pushed up to the edge of a cliff, they're going to fight, better, shit like that. But it was crazy seeing my own mind flip. And everything in my life started to be like, how am I going to make this work? How am I going to make money online? And it was just looking for pathways to get there. And then it was even serving up like positive spins on objective things. So like I made this like Patreon or whatever, and I got $40 a month from it. And I'm grateful. But before, even a few days ago, I was like, dude, that's a joke. What? I was like, how am I going to pay my bills with that? Like dude, I almost sneezed twice. Anyway, it just seemed like hopeless, right? Like, oh, I'm never going to make anything from this. But on the second day of this 100 days of not doubting myself, I literally, from the same objective thing, that $40 a month, I was like, yo, that's closer to paying my bills than zero. Like, okay, that's a good start. How am I going to build this? Like, how am I going to keep that momentum going? And I was just, all of a sudden, it was like 100% of my brain was moving forward, right? And then on the fifth day, I had this fucking breakthrough of all breakthroughs, dude, which, to circle back to the limiting beliefs thing, I realized there's three layers. So there's the logical layer, there's the emotional layer, and then there's actually the identity layer. And so when I really went for it on the fifth day of this 100 days of not doubting myself, I had this crazy breakthrough where it wasn't, what if I'm not good enough? What if I fail? I had this thought come to my head. What if I go all out and I fail and it confirms what I secretly believed about myself, that I was meant to be average? And dude, that was a crazy, crazy breakthrough because I realized that's what's actually been the source code, the bottom, like the true limiting beliefs of what I was going through. And someone just pulled up next to me, and I'm just gonna keep talking to myself like I'm a fucking schizophrenic. Um, but anyway, and so what I've come to realize through all this is that everyone is shackled by their own self-limiting beliefs, but you don't realize what's the true self-limiting belief until you go for it. Your brain is this tricky bitch. That's right, buddy. I'm talking to myself. Your brain is this tricky bitch, which it lost my train of thought. It's very good at disguising the self-limiting belief. So at first, when I wasn't really going for it, I had the logical limiting belief. Then when I went for it, I had the emotional limiting belief. Then when I was like, do or die, it actually gave me the true limiting belief, right? And I think it was Elliot Hulse that said this thing. He goes, jump off the cliff and grow wings on your way down. You don't know what's actually holding you back until you go for it. So like, let's say you're waiting for the perfect plan or whatever, that's your logical. Well, even when you make the perfect plan, you didn't deal with the true limiting beliefs that are holding you back. So it doesn't matter. When you go through that perfect plan, something else is going to come up. You got to just fucking go for it. And I know this is more common than just me because my buddy had a wedding the other day, and I ran into this dude that I used to train with a lot. Like, I do jujitsu and I don't see him anymore. And we were talking, and he was like, yeah, I just don't really like competing. I don't like, like having all this pressure. And then when we really dug into it, he was like, I'm really glad I turned 40 because no one expects me, like, because he used to be in the military. He's like, no one expects this military age, like, fit guy to go, be a world champion anymore. There's not this expectation on me. And when he was saying it out loud, I was like, bro, that's a self-limiting belief. Like, it's so obvious. But I've come to realize, dude, we're all shackled by this bullshit. Everybody has what they believe is the limiting belief, but that's just like your brain's tricky way of like getting you to agree with it, right? Your brain will never come out and be like, I'm a bitch. That's why I'm not going for it. It will give you something believable, like, oh, I need a plan. I need to, get a coach, shit like that. And then when you start going for it, you get the fucking coach or whatever. It's like, oh, I'm not good enough. And then when you really, it's do or die, then you find out there's something at the bottom. And so my bottom layer, the real self-limiting belief, not to tell you like my whole life story, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an author, right? I wanted to write a book. It was always my dream. And I hand wrote this 300-page book. Like, it was like my passion project. And I remember when I finished the book, I ran downstairs and I handed it to my mom. She was at like the dinner table with my sister. And I remember I was so excited. I ran and I gave it to her, and she opened it and she read the first sentence and she laughed. And my sister laughed too. And I remember feeling just like crushed, like, dude. And to be fair, it wasn't that good of a story. I was like 11. But now with what I know about psychology, that imprinted this like very, 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 very deep rooted like belief in me that I'm not special. Like, don't show who you really are to people because you can get crushed. Because that was like my dream that I, shared in that moment. And I haven't thought about that in like, dude, I don't know, 20 years. But it's been secretly running my life, right? And so I think that's what created that belief that if I really go for it, like whether it's showing someone my book or, going for my YouTube channel, I might get fucking crushed and people might reject it. So it's safer to just come up with these like self-limiting bullshit excuses of why I can't go for it so that I can at least hold on to the hope that, oh yeah, I do have potential to be great, but I never really went for it. I got injured, that kind of shit. And so I guess what I'm saying in this roundabout schizophrenic way, according to the people around here is just, bro, fucking go for it, and you'll find out. You know, they say fuck around and find out. I feel like that should work on a positive way too. Um, so I ask you, what is it that you genuinely want out of this life? And number one, I challenge you to write down, what is your self-limiting bullshit, right? Because the only thing in between you and everything you want in life is the bullshit ass story you tell yourself about why you can't have it. And I challenge you to just fucking go for it, bro. Because you realize not only was that story bullshit, there's more stories to peel off and peel off. And then when you get to the root of it, the real reason, bro, you'll be better off for it, whether you fucking succeed greatly or don't. So, yeah, bro. Just fucking go all in. Peace.